Alright, so we have our animated material, and now we just need to set up an actual light that will light up our level. So we're going to bring in a special actor to do this. I'm going to open up the content browser and then switch to the actor classes tab. And let me actually close everything up so you can see exactly how to get to this light. You'll see the light group. Go ahead and expand that. Underneath you'll see point light. If you expand that, you'll see point light toggleable. Now with that selected, we can close out the actor classes browser, right-click on the wall, and choose Add Point Light Toggleable here. Now this is a dynamic actor, so we can change it so that it affects the actual level in real time. So what I'm going to do is double-click this guy and set up a few settings. Let's expand the light category, expand light component again, and we're going to take its brightness and set its brightness to 0. Just because that's going to be the property we're going to animate. So in effect, we've switched the light off. We're not going to use a toggle to enable and disable the light. We're actually going to smoothly animate that brightness going up and down. Now we can also set a couple of other things as well. You're welcome to change the color of the light if you want. I'm going to open up point light component and we'll pull the radius down to say 512. And let me jump in. We'll just set the brightness back up so I can test that. That's pretty good. Just kind of a real general light. It doesn't need to go very far. Really, just the fact that it's animating is enough for demonstration purposes. So we have our light. Its properties are set. Now let's jump into Kismet. Double-click on our matinee sequence, and now I'll close Kismet to open up a little bit of screen space. Now, with our light selected, I'm going to right-click. We'll choose Add New Empty Group, and I'm going to name this Light Actor. And if you want, you can check back in Kismet, and you'll see that it has indeed been attached. So now we can clean all of that up. Okay, now, to animate the brightness property, we need to select our new Light Actor group, right-click it, and we're going to bring in a float property track. Now, as soon as you do this, a window is going to pop it up asking you which property you want to animate. So from the drop-down, scroll down, and you'll see brightness. Now, if you can't read the actual value, like maybe if it cuts off a little bit, you can take this window and expand it out, and then it makes it a little easier to see. Just thought I'd throw that one out there. So let's select brightness, click OK, and there we go. We have a new brightness track. So now I'm going to zoom in right in between the 1 and 2 second marks. And we could actually use the keyframes of our animated material to figure out where to put our keyframes. So if I click on the first keyframe from our animated material, we can now jump down to the brightness track, press Enter, right-click, and just double-check the value. It should be 0, and it is, which is good. So now moving down, we can just click on the next track, make sure we switch down to brightness, press Enter. Now let's right-click and set value, and we're going to set this up to 0.8. We might actually want to go back and change the color of that light to cool it off a little bit, but that's not a big deal and has nothing to do with animating, so maybe I'll just take care of that later. Now, I'm going to jump to the next key again, so really I'm just making sure these keys coincide. By clicking on these keyframes that we already animated from the material, you see that we're just jumping the time slider, but each time you click on one, make sure you jump back down to the brightness track before you press Enter. So now we'll set this back to 0. Now you might find at this point that it's a little bit faster to start duplicating keys. So we can grab this key where the light is on, go up to Edit, Duplicate Selected Keys, and then just slide that over to 1.25. You can do it whichever way you like. If you like just dropping keys, by all means do that. Something you could do is just come over here and systematically drop keys so that they coincide. So I'm just clicking on each keyframe, jumping back down to the brightness track and pressing Enter, keyframe, brightness, Enter. And once you have all your keys down, you can just swap them out. So here we're off, here we're on, here we're off. So let's just right-click, set the value to 0. Here's the next one where we're off. Right-click, set the value to 0. I think I missed one, actually. Make sure, yeah, I missed that. So let's right-click, set that value to 0. That's what I hit Enter instead of 0. So hit Enter and then 0. It helps if you know how to use a keyboard, or at least that's what I've been told. Now let's right-click, go back to set value, set that to 0, and we're back to 0 here. Oh, I got him reversed, didn't I? Yep, we need to set that guy back to 0.8. 0.8, and then 0. And there we go. So now the actual light actor is flickering in time with our material. Now, real quick, let's switch our viewport over here into game mode. Let's pull back, and I'll just hit play once to play through. And our light is switching on, so that's awesome. Now, there's one more thing we could do at this point. We could go ahead and add a sound effect so that when we switch on our light, we actually get some sort of audio playback as well. So here inside our light actor group, I want you to right-click again, and we're going to add a new soundtrack. Now, you could put this soundtrack anywhere. It could go in the light material group. It could go in the light actor group. You could even make a separate group for it if you were so inclined. But I'm going to go ahead and hide it underneath the light actor group. And right here at the 1 second mark, we need to find a sound that we want. So let's move our time slider. I'm going to jump over to the content browser. Now, I already have the sound selected, but that's like cheating. So let's just clear everything out, click all assets, and what I want you to search for up here is elevator. And if we scroll down, you'll see elevator 01 start cue. Go ahead and select that. Close out the content browser. Select your soundtrack here inside of Unreal Matinee and press enter, and there you go. It automatically drops in that sound cue, and it shows you the duration of the playback as well. So now if you hit play to test it, you can hear that. And it's got kind of a nice whirring up sound, like there's some sort of electricity being fed over to that light. So that is going to wrap up the animation of our light. Go ahead and close out of Matinee, save your level, and then we will continue. Thanks a lot.
We'll be right back.